After a long day of work, the weekend was approaching, and my girlfriend Jessica suggested we should take a small camping trip to clear our head because we had been working a lot. And a camping trip was what we both needed. I told my girlfriend, yeah, that sounds like a great idea, and I'll pick you up tomorrow. The next morning, I packed my camping gear and picked up my girlfriend, and we got on the road and drove to our camping destination. On the way there, we hit up a few gas stations to grab some snacks for our camping trip. Not too long after we arrived and parked and began to get our camping stuff out and try to find a good view to set up our camping area. We ended up setting up by a lake to get a better view and only grab some sticks so we could start a fire and be more cozy and comfortable. After getting the tent all set up and our fire pit lit up, we then sat by the campfire and relaxed and looked at the beautiful sky as the sun started to go down. It wasn't long after when the darkness came and it was pitch black, and the only light we had was our campfire. Me and my girlfriend talked for a little and ate some marshmallows that we melted from using the campfire. After a while, we both started to get tired and decided to go to sleep in our tent. The next morning, I told my girlfriend we should take a hike and get some fresh air. Which after we packed up our hiking gear, we left our tent because we'd be back afterwards. After hiking for an hour, we started to notice that there was other camping tents set up, but nobody in them. We figured maybe they want to explore the woods as well, or even go hiking as we did. After hiking for a couple of hours, the sun was starting to go down, and we began to start making our way back to our camping spot so we could pack our stuff and leave out tomorrow. We got to our camping area, everything was still standing. We started to get ready for bed because we was waking up pretty early tomorrow so we could head back home. I got up from my tent to go to the bathroom. That's when I started hearing the bushes moving, as if someone was out there. I tried to think maybe it's an animal, but I could hear a lot of footsteps, breaking little branches. I knew this was probably not an animal, and I went back to my tent, grabbed my flashlight and my little pocket knife. My girlfriend asked if everything was okay. I told her yeah, and she went back to sleep. I didn't want to scare my girlfriend, just in case maybe it was an animal, and I was just paranoid for nothing. I could still hear loud branches being snapped every time a footstep would walk over it. I flashed my flashlight in the woods and saw a man and another man all looking at me. I then yelled for the man to leave us alone, and that woke up my girlfriend Jessica. The men then all ran, and I heard a lot of footsteps going through the woods. I told my girlfriend Jessica that we'd be leaving as soon as the sun rises and to get some sleep. I know what you're probably thinking is, why did I not leave right then? Well, I figured I would not make it out of there because we parked 2 miles away from where we was. The next morning, I woke up and heard my girlfriend crying. I asked what was wrong, and I could see that the man had robbed our tent and took everything we had. Our snacks, our phone, wallet, and even our car keys. This was really frustrating. I mean, you can imagine when someone steals your personal belongings. It's one of the worst feelings you could have. I told my girlfriend to not worry and we would find a way out of here. I was kind of lost in the mind and was thinking, what are we gonna do? That's when I remembered that I always kept a spare key in my car, but I'd put it in my wheels so you'd have to basically slice my tires to get it out. Me and my girlfriend started to walk back to our car, and after I arrived, I grabbed the rock and sliced a little hole in my tire to grab the spare key. We then turned on the car and drove to the nearest gas station to call the police. After we arrived to the gas station, the guy who owned it, he let me use the phone. I told the police that what all happened, and they said they would have someone check out at the camping spot, and they'll see if they see those 2 men and maybe even get our personal stuff back. Me and my girlfriend Jessica just waited. That's when the police officer showed up and the 2 men were arrested. Me and Jessica got our personal belongings back. We then thanked the police officer and the store owner, John. We then got on the road and started to head back to our house. The scary part about this whole situation was, what was those 2 men real intentions? Was it to rob us and then harm us? Or just take all our personal stuff and leave us alone? I still think about what would have happened if those 2 men would have seen us when we was leaving our camping spot. Me and my brother John would always go out camping on the weekends. It was more of a hobby that we did because we was not playing sports at the time. I remember when we got to the camping spot that we was going to set up at, my brother suggested that we should explore more, just in case we could find a better spot. I agreed, and me and John began to explore the woods looking for a better area to set up at. The area we was in had nice views and was close to a lake, so we could go fishing or swimming if we wanted to. After walking for an hour, we then found the perfect spot to set our camping gear up at. The only downside was it was on a cliff, so if a big storm or wind came through, we would get blew away and fall off the cliff. I was in charge of setting up the tent, and my brother's job was to get the sticks, so we did not freeze overnight. After I put up the tent, I wanted to help my brother make the fire, so it could be warm at night. After setting up everything, we had a few hours before the sun would go down, and we was near a lake, so me and my brother went for a little swim. After swimming for a bit, we could see boats as people passed us, and we knew we was not alone out here in the woods. This camping spot we was at was a really popular one at the time. After swimming for a little while, we started to head back to our camping area, so we could get back before it got dark out. My brother John made some friends with the people we saw on the boat. He invited them over to eat with us. I said sure that we was up the cliff. The two females said that they'll be there. My brother and I were pretty excited because these two females seemed chill and were gorgeous. We then got everything out and made our food. We waited for the females to show up and join us. After an hour, I told my brother that I think we got stood up. We both shrugged it off and started to get ready for bed. The next morning, I could hear two footsteps outside my tent. I looked and could see that it was the two females from yesterday, Emma and her sister Jasmine. We asked why were they here so early. They said they felt bad for not coming last night. They suggested that we should all go hiking. We asked, are you talking about right now or are you talking about later on? They wanted to do it right now, so we got ready and we all went hiking, exploring the woods more. At that time, I did not see nothing wrong with this whole deal. I guess I was just blind that a beautiful woman even wanted to hang out with me. I was only 18 at the time, so give me a break. I was new to this. After hiking with Emma and Jasmine for a while, I noticed that we was really far from our place we was camping at. I mean, the part we was at was in the middle of nowhere. Nobody around, and the only sounds you could hear was our footsteps. And that was about it. I asked Emma and Jasmine if they come out here a lot. They said they come here all the time to explore, and that they knew this camping spot like the back of their hands. This made me and my brother more comfortable because I thought we was lost. We then kept exploring the woods and came across a sign that said, "Do not come in." Jasmine and Emma ignored this sign and they said, "Come on guys, let's go." Me and my brother looked at each other and I got this gut feeling that something bad was about to happen. I could see that my brother was thinking the same thing as well. We told the girls we'll pass on that and they said to stop being chickens, which ended up making us letting our guard down, ignoring our gut feeling and walking past the sign. There was a brown cabin that was right behind the sign. Jasmine and Emma said this was where they lived and they were alone. They offered for us to come inside. We agreed and went into the cabin. When we got into the cabin, we could see that it was a big mess and something just felt off. I could see that Jasmine kept getting on the phone and then leaving to the other room. And honestly, me and my brother were just ready to leave. There was something off and I could feel it. Some people might say it was nervousness, but it was much more deeper than that. We then left and it was a good thing we did because we saw a group of men coming from the woods. Me and my brother then sprinted out of there and those men began to chase us. Me and my brother was pretty fast, so we got away. After a while, we made it back to our camping spot. We then decided to pack up our stuff and leave because we did not feel safe. Especially Emma and Jasmine knew where we was, and that could lead the men straight to us. We then walked to our car and we got in there and drove away. Our brother wanted to call the police, but instead we just left and told our parents, which they called the police. Those two men and the female, Emma and Jasmine, were all arrested because it turned out they were all wanted criminals. And that was not their first time luring a group of people into their traps. The scary part about this story is, if me and my brother did not trust our gut and stayed there, there's no telling what would have happened to us. I'm just happy we made it out there alive and the people were soon arrested. Camping trips used to always excite me until this one incident that happened to me and a group of my friends back in 2009. We all decided to take a camping trip out in the middle of nowhere. This would be our first camping trip and we did not think it would be our last. We arrived to our camping spot and we got everything situated. My friends and I love scary stories, so we sat by the campfire and had flashlights on us as we told each other scary stories. We did this until it got dark out. We kept on until we got creeped out a little from telling scary stories all day long. After that, we decided to cheer up the mood a little and tell funny jokes until we all got tired to go to bed. We told funny jokes for hours and hours until I began to get tired. I told my friends I was going to hit the sheets and I'll talk to you in the morning. I then went to sleep and got up in the middle of the night to get a snack because my stomach was hungry. There was no way I was going to sleep hungry. I ate a couple of Reese's Pieces before laying back down and closing my eyes. That's when I heard a loud scream coming from the woods, followed by a chainsaw. You could imagine how terrifying this was for me and my friends. We all woke up paranoid as hell. I could hear my buddy Adam saying, "What was that?" Everyone was in shock, and the screaming then stopped. So did the chainsaw sound. It was all up for hours and was trying to be on the safe side. The next morning we packed up our camping gear and headed back to our car to go home because there was no way we would stand another night in the woods, especially if there was going to be loud women screams and chainsaw sounds coming from the woods. That was terrifying and we all knew staying another night would put our chances at probably not making it because we did not know what that person's intention was who had the chainsaw. After arriving to the car, we then drove away, but on the way out, we had to go to the front desk building to tell them to let us out the gate because the camping area we was in a private one. It was weird, but it was our first time ever camping, so we did not know any better. We told the front desk guy about what we heard last night and how could they open the gate. The man said that he would have a police officer come and check out the private camping area just to make sure it was clear and maybe it was someone playing pranks on us. We knew for a fact that that was not a prank. We asked how long it would be until he could open the gate for us so we could all leave. He said it'd be like 15 minutes because he did not have the key and his buddy who came in to take his shift was the one who was in charge. He would call the police and we'll be all okay. We all waited in the building for the police and his friend to arrive. After 15 minutes, his friend arrived and he gave us the key. Before we left, we saw that the police officer checked the area and said it was clear, but that there was a chainsaw in the woods and it did have blood on it. So they would send some people out there to investigate to see what all went down last night. Me and my friends had seen enough and we left. We have not been to that camping spot in years and I honestly don't know what happened that night. But if I had to guess, there was a guy with a chainsaw who was chasing a female and he got her. That's the reason we heard no screaming. That explains the blood that was left on the chainsaw. I never did look into this incident, but something definitely was off that night. We heard the chainsaw and the women screaming. And I'm glad we left when we did.